All right, you're looking at the tarmac right there at Hartsfield-Jackson, where all appears to be going smooth right now. About 2,500 flights arrive and depart each day from the world's busiest airport, seemingly with the greatest of ease. That was not the case last week at New York's LaGuardia Airport. Two regional jets from Atlanta-based Delta Airlines made contact on the taxiway, with the wing of one plane striking the fuselage of another. This left significant damage to both aircrafts. One flight attendant had a knee injury, and none of the other passengers were hurt. The National Transportation Safety Board is investigating this incident. While this latest incident at LaGuardia ended without major injury, it's another reminder of how critical coordination and communication, especially on the ground at some of the world's busiest airports. We welcome in the former NTSB investigator and aviation expert, Greg Feith, back to the show. Welcome back.
Hey, Chesley, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Greg. When we see close calls like this, what does that tell us about the safety in and around America's airports right now?
Well, right now we got a couple of issues going on, of course, with the shutdown and the controller shortage. That is presenting its own problems. But with regard to the on-ground collision at LaGuardia, you know, communication is key here. And when you have a busy airport like Atlanta, like LaGuardia, Chicago, New York, doesn't matter, it's a choreographed dance between air traffic controllers and pilots, and it's really effective communication. Unfortunately, because of the complexity and the fact that LaGuardia, unlike Atlanta, is smaller as far as stature, you have runways and taxiways that are closer. Unfortunately, unless you have clear communication and pilots understand exactly what that controller wants, you're going to have issues like this.
Greg, is it just me, or are we hearing more about these incidents taking place? I mean, it seems like this year alone, we've heard a lot about these close calls or even some of these accidents taking place. Or is it now just getting more attention, or has it been happening all along and we just didn't know about it?
No, it's the spotlight is now on aviation because about the last 5 years, we've ramped up all of these events. And then, of course, at the beginning of the year, with all of that run of accidents starting in DCA with the mid-air collision, and then we had Philadelphia, and then we had 10 fatal up in Alaska. All of a sudden, now the spotlight is back on aviation, and on top of that, with the controller shortage, and of course now the shutdown, I mean, it's gone from spotlight to sunlight. I mean, everything in aviation is being scrutinized, and everybody's got a cell phone, everybody's got a story, and so yeah, there's a lot of attention now drawn to these types of events, but we still have the safest aviation system in the world, given the fact that we're running 45 to 50,000 aircraft operations in a 24-hour period.
Yeah. You mentioned the shutdown. How big of a role is that going to have on the overall picture?
Right now, it's a real concern. With the call-outs, whether they are real or in protest by air traffic controllers, creating shortages in major city airports, that's going to have an adverse effect on the traveling public. And unfortunately, we all have short patience. And I always say time to spare, go by air. And that really is proving now, because we do have staffing shortages. We are going to have towers that are closed down. We are going to have slowdowns as far as departures and arrivals. They'll slow aircraft down in trail, en route, to try and not saturate the system, especially at airports where there are shortages of controllers. So there's a lot going on, Chesley, in aviation right now, but the FAA is trying to manage it to maintain the highest levels of safety.
Talked about the shortage. What does that look like for us? And a shortage along with people calling out sick, does that mean less planes take off now, or how does that work?
Yeah, once we've seen this basically the last several days at major city airports, including here in Denver where I am, where we had ground stops. So you may have an airplane that's supposed to take off at 12 noon, but now they've ground stopped it till 12:30, 12:45, even 1 o'clock. What they're trying to do is slow the arrival rates and break up those high density times where you have peak flights, morning and evening, where you have a high concentration of flights, because they may not have enough controllers to handle those peaks. So they're trying to spread that traffic out. you may have less flights going into particular airports. And then, of course, the FAA, instead of having maybe 3 miles in trail as far as en route, you'll have them 5 miles, which means less airplanes going into and out of certain airports.
Yeah. Greg, I got about 30 seconds left. Talk to the people real quick about incidents like this with the pending shutdown and the shortages and everything. What you want people to know about flying?
I think right now it looks disastrous in the eyes of some people, that especially as the traveling public gets ramped up for holiday travel coming up. Again, you got to pre-plan, and you have to really have patience. Right now, it's not the airline's fault. It's not the FAA's fault. The fact is with this shutdown, we are not having a throughput of trained controllers coming through the academy and that kind of stuff. Plus, we've lost a number of instructors as well. So the shutdown does not help, but safety isn't compromised. Yes, we do have these events like at LaGuardia, but again, the whole system depends on communication, a choreographed dance between air traffic controllers and pilots. They're the two entities that really keep aviation safe here in the United States.
Got it. Greg Feith, thanks so much. Really appreciate your insight for today.